Infrastructure is crumbling and the problems are only getting worse. The pressure to find solutions is hot. Let's talk about why American cities have no water, no electricity, and no money to fix their infrastructure problems. Welcome to the Infrastructure Hot Seat Podcast.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Infrastructure Hot Seat Podcast. My name is Chad Smeltzer. I'm your host. Today's guest is Amanda from VAPAR. She's the CEO and founder of the first machine learning condition assessment software for sanitary and storm systems, but maybe that's a little aggressive.
No, it's not. Say it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I already did. So yeah, thank you for joining me. And I'm excited to learn more about you, Amanda, and how you got into the industry.
Yeah, no, look, really excited to be here, Chad, and be on this podcast. I've listened to this, listened to all the episodes, and very, very keen to kind of share my thoughts. So my name is Amanda. I'm one of the two co-founders of VAPAR. My background is on kind of like the civil engineering side, but tangibly how that relates to VAPAR is I was paid 8 hours a day to just watch videos of the insides of sewer pipes and just write down whenever I saw a fault or a defect or anything like that. That was a long time ago when I was an intern, but I continued to need to do that through my career. And when the technology became available, the deep learning frameworks started becoming outsourced and all of that stuff and accessible. Michelle and I partnered. Michelle's the CTO. And I partnered to create VAPAR, create a solution for it.
That's amazing. So Michelle and you hooked up and you started talking about how annoying it was to, I would assume it's annoying to watch video of sewer pipe all day long and just do condition assessment and code the pipe defects. As brutal. I can only imagine what that would be like. And so how did you meet Michelle?
Yes, Michelle and I go way back. So her and I actually went to high school and uni together. So we've known each other for like 20-ish years. So yeah, revealing my age. But we've known each other for a very long time. Just like buddies. And then when the solution set became clear that there was a technologically viable way to solve this problem that I and many of my colleagues had experienced firsthand. Michelle, we both did engineering together. She did mechatronics engineering, which is generally like kind of robotics and machine learning and all the fun stuff. Just chit-chatting problems and solutions, and it started pretty much just with let's try it out. We got our first customer and then started getting some grant money and more revenue, and went through an accelerator. Anyway, that was just like a kind of just taking each opportunity as we got it.
That's an amazing story. I mean, to go from watching CCTV video to an entrepreneur and now raising capital and building out this platform that sounds amazing, into machine learning. Wow. That's amazing. So you both just got together, you started putting this together. She's the CTO, a little more techie. You both were, kind of discussing what this is going to look like. What has been some of the biggest challenges of building this system?
Yeah, so I think on the tech side, building the system, it's really just a case of what you put in is what you get out. With machine learning, you have to have really good data and really good data cleaning, and to make sure that your inputs are quality, and then you can bring in really talented data scientists to tweak all of the variables and the training and kind of optimize for a really good outcome. But fundamentally, your input has to be really rock solid. So I think that was initially a technological kind of hurdle that we had to kind of get over. And we've got a scalable way of doing that, which is really exciting. So that was one piece. But I'd say stepping away from the technology, the business side, both Michelle and I, it was just us two for probably the first 2 years.
Yeah.
And in terms of full-time people, and we are both engineers. Neither of us have any business experience. So I think on the business side, a lot of the hurdles was just learning, sometimes by trial and error, how to run a business, and just learning more about the sales process, marketing, really fundamental things that you would expect anyone that goes into business to know. Just stuff like that we learned as we went. And it was a really exciting journey because, I really like, and Michelle and everyone in our team really likes to solve problems. And I think that was our curiosity just, meant that we were able to kind of figure it out as we went along.
Yeah. It's a journey for sure. I mean, the entrepreneurial journey that you're on, it's pretty amazing. Now, and happy International Women's Day, by the way. I wanted to add that in there. So both of you and Michelle, that's awesome. Kudos to you guys. So now you're on the journey of like raising money, to fund the machine, so to speak, that you have built. Yeah, it's got to be pretty cool. What are some of the challenges that other entrepreneurs could learn from you that you've been doing to do capital raising and for your business?
Yeah, I think the thing that I am always learning is just really simplifying the problem statement to people outside of our industry, right? I think we're getting adept at trying to talk to customers who already understand, they have the problem. We don't need to tell them about the problem.
Right.
But when you're changing gears and you're talking to investors who may or may not know about the wastewater industry,
Right.
those sort of conversations, you can lose people really quickly by getting into the minutia. So I think for me, what I'm learning more about is when I talk to people who are not from our industry, granted what we do is super niche,
Right.
I think distilling the kind of main high level points of, what is it that we do? This is the scale,
Right.
This is the number of people or the number of feet that's, manually done. Can you imagine it? Kind of reframing the issue so that it's more accessible.
Yeah. I dabbled in it a little bit the last couple of years of my startup as well. I can tell you're exactly right. You have to get it super clear and concise, the message that you're and the solution that you're bringing to the table to solve the big problem, right? But you got to keep it so simple for them to understand, because infrastructure is out of sight, out of mind. I mean, look at it.
Yeah.
You have government leaders that don't even understand the infrastructure, let alone an investor you're trying to get money. Like it's out of sight, out of mind to them completely, right? It's like we got water, we got shower, I go to the bathroom. It's not a big deal, right?
Exactly. And it's so interesting because even on the, whether you're talking to whatever stakeholder, right? We look at our stakeholders threefold. We've got our customers, we've got our internal team. So, we strongly bias for all three equally: our customers, our team, and our investors. And so to build buy-in, I think I've learned this. Some other founder mentioned this as like, you can't expect to get funding or buy-in in the absence of data. You need to give people data. And I think that's one way that I've learned to leapfrog the complexity of the issue and the nicheness of what we do. Right. Is, at the end of the day, if you're doubling or tripling every year and you've got a huge amount of retention, zero churn, like all of those stuff, those really good metrics and that data to say, actually, this is whatever the problem is. I actually don't care about what the problem is. Like, I think that people are paying for and it's sticky and, they really, they're putting their hand up to go to upgrade. So that sort of stuff is, can be a kind of proxy for fully absorbing what the challenges is.
What are some of the barriers to entry you're learning I know here in the United States, it's a very relationship-based system, right, to get into. What are some of the challenges as you've started the company and got things going, like penetrating the market?
The North American market, or just?
I would say that's used, like, because I don't know much about like Australia. What's it like in general? Like, I don't think a lot of people do. Like, our audience probably wouldn't know either what it's like in the world versus like United States. Maybe there's a comparison there.
Yeah, I love talking about this. So the US has about 15 times the number of pipes that we have in Australia, little Australia. So yeah, there's a lot of pipe here, but there's also a lot of customers here. So I want to say, I've heard numbers between 5,000 and 30,000 and, upwards of 50,000. So there's just a huge number of whatever it is. It doesn't matter. There's there's 4 digits involved. That's enough for me. That's a big number. And so, like you say, the relationships it's a very relationship based sale here. Actually, that's true for everywhere. So in the UK, as an example, to kind of draw another comparative point, there's 11 sewer and water authorities. There's 13 or 14 water authorities, but there's 11 of them that cover sewer and water sewer as well. So and they're 4 times the size of Australia. So kind of I can't do math that quickly, but
that's okay.
yeah, somewhere between a third of the US market is what the UK is, but there's 11 customers. So on average, a water utility in the UK would own and operate about 30,000 miles of sewers. And here, I think that's kind of customer size, all of that. But the other point to draw in terms of the comparison is the regulatory kind of influence. So in Australia, the US, you guys have here a public regulator, the EPAs of the world, and so on and so forth. And then we have that as well in Australia, and then kind of the water authorities are public. A little bit different in the UK, where it's a public regulator called Ofwat and EA, and they regulate private water utilities. So government in the late 80s, sold off the water utilities to kind of rearrange some of the economy, and so all of them are private, and some of them are LSX listed, so listed on the London Stock Exchange. It's a very different regulatory dynamic between the public kind of regulator and the private water utilities.
Yeah, that's interesting because you're right. The EPA's here in the United States kind of overregulates everything, private, public. It seems like, but you look at companies like Suez or Veolia Water, Illinois Water, things like they're privatizing these systems. Yeah. So obviously, who's overseeing that? Those private companies. I would assume the EPA is, but who knows,
it is. Sorry, you do have a bunch of.
It's United. From what I understand, is United States has roughly 18,000 collection systems. I would assume roughly that's sanitary mostly. So you compare it to UK at 10 or 11, and then you got 18,000 here in the United States you have to address or reach out to. That's a big market to try and penetrate and get in front of, especially when they're mostly relationship based processes here in the United States. It's like everyone knows everybody, or it's in a certain region, everyone knows everybody, that kind of thing. So that can make it challenging for companies like yours to get in, right? Yeah, it would be tough to get in there. But I mean, from what I haven't seen your system yet, but what it sounds like is amazing. It's revolutionary, I should say, and it's going to make a huge difference in the way we prioritize and risk assess our sewer systems, right? So that alone will be something that all utilities are going to need here in America. They have to have a condition assessment, pipe assessment, things like that. But one thing I've seen in the industry, and I'm curious your thoughts on this, is we talk about AI, machine learning, things like that. And I've learned some things. I was at the Wet Show and I was talking to some NASCO guys, and I'm sure you know what NASCO is. And they were talking about AI and using certain type of coders, you won't build the best type of system. So I don't know. Do you know much about like how? I'm sure you know a lot about it actually. Having the right type of coders and what they do to prioritize or code a certain type of defect, like how that works, like what makes a difference from a coder and then creating a machine learning model. I'm just
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah, totally. So our product and our platform is actually, at the moment, we process over 300,000 feet a month, and all of that, and that's kind of like picking up as we get more customers. But all of those data points, they have a touch point. Like most of this is all our customers do this. We present the results to our customers, and they say, yeah, I'm happy to accept what the AI's passes. So instead of me as customer A, instead of watching 8 hours a day of footage or a 30-minute TV video, I'm now looking at 6 frames, and I do the exception handling on that and say yes or no. So all of that then goes back into our training data set. We do data cleaning on that to make sure that aligns with the definitions of what organizations like NASCO, like the ones in the UK, WRC, us in Australia, not us in Australia, the ones we have in Australia, and New Zealand as well. So those are the 4 kind of markets that we have standards alignment to.
Yeah.
So that's we do the data cleaning for that, but it's all if you're in Boulder, Colorado, or Sydney, Australia, or Bristol, UK. There's a lot, like a pipe. The way that pipes fail is exactly the same, and like you might call it here a hole in or a broken pipe, and in Australia we call it breaking missing or breaking displaced. So it's like it's really the naming, but the failure mode visually is the same because you use vitrified clay as well as we do use vitrified clay pipes.
Right.
The visual failure mode is very similar. So we don't necessarily not all the time need to hugely augment our model. It's mainly just which standard are we looking at and what's the naming of this particular defect.
I used to get our sewers are completely different than the next community's sewers all the time. When it sounds like you pretty much just validated they're not different. They're all, and I don't, all sewers are pretty much the same. I mean, no matter what community. I used to just hear about like, well, our sewers are different, or I'm like, okay, the sewers aren't different. They just maybe are deeper or maybe different in size, but they aren't different. The pipe materials are the same. The manholes are the same. Everything's still the same, and the defects are pretty much going to be the same in a certain amount of.
It's just like time. Physics and chemistry, pretty much. Like it's not. Right. There's no huge change if you've got the same materials. There's definitely things like changes in soil types that lead to different sort of settlements and displacement of joints and stuff like that. Like that definitely. Right. And then in places where it freezes, that's a different stuff. So there are like variations, I want to say, but I totally agree with you. Fundamentally the same. What I would say is different is the management of those sewers. So I think when people say that to us as well, we take it as, I have a different view about the risk that I'm willing to take on, say, a longitudinal crack versus a circumferential crack. Maybe I view that the same because I don't want any cracking in my pipes. Whereas some counties and municipalities might say, you know what, circumferential cracks, I could live with them. They're not as severe as a longitudinal crack, which is kind of just related to, downward pressure on the pipe and displacement. So that, there's nuances on that side as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's all I used to hear when I was younger, is like selling to cities and talking about sewer pipes. It was always, oh, our sewers are different. We don't have these problems. I'm like, okay, when's the last time you actually looked at your pipes? Because and they're like, oh, it was like 10 years ago. I'm like, okay, well, that's, you have obviously don't know what's going on in your sewer pipes, right? So
do
little
a
things
gallery,
like that.
like
What's
a
that?
cross country. So we should do like a cross country gallery,
Right.
of like.
See your marketing side. You're like thinking about how we could present that. Yeah, no, I would love to see that. How defects are presented differently. That'd be really cool. Yeah, to kind of see.
So we have, I mean, it's not the same, but we have a hashtag, or we started, but we don't own it. We have a hashtag called Weird Things in Pipes. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So just every Monday, there's like some, it's just really funny, and anyone can use it. It's not ours, but there's, it's just like all these random things that you see in pipes, like soccer balls and like, and also a lot of, sadly, animals make it into the sewers, which is, so,
I saw one with a frog in there the other day. I was doing some marketing stuff and I saw this pipe with a frog in it. I was like, anything, rats, raccoons, all these different things you see in pipes, bikes, stormwater, storm pipes. You can see motorcycles. I've seen them in Baltimore where they had like motorcycle in the storm sewer. I was like, what? How did that get in there?
I think we found one that had an alligator. It was a storm one, obviously not a sewer one. Storm one that had an alligator running through it. There's like laptops. I don't know what people like, burn phones and stuff down there. Like, very interesting.
It is very interesting. The sewer world, for being it's underground, it's a whole nother world there. I mean, you got all kinds of insects, animals running around down there, and we talk about the roots. They can grow in there, clog up the sewers. They're the biggest. Damager of pipe. I guess that's the best way to describe roots in America, especially. It's a huge problem for roots getting into systems and backing them up and causing all kinds of problems there. So I'm sure you've seen tons of roots in your life. Looking at camera footage, I know I've seen it. So as you're growing, VAPR, and what is some of the future vision of your company and where you're going to take it?
Good question. So for us, the problem that we're solving is very much about looking at what is needed in terms of funding, in terms of expertise, in terms of technology, to close this gap between what a city and municipality needs to spend to meet the kind of performance targets that their community wants. And what they actually are spending. And so for us, closing that gap and providing, being a really helpful partner in closing that gap is what we want to be. World class at, and we we're arguably are getting there. So that's really the problem that we're solving. It's not an easy problem. We use AI, we use deep learning, we use a lot of automation, workflow automation to speed that up. And so that bringing together of like that gap, or closing that gap is really what we're focused on.
Do you think we'll get to a point where we can use technology like yours and be able to do repairs and replacement and same day? Is it possible?
Totally. Data-wise, it's a great question. This is the sort of kind of blue sky thinking that we need to start having conversations about, because to the extent that reaps outsized benefits for the city, then we should definitely, and it's prudent as a supply chain to kind of like come together and have that conversation. So we could be and others on the software side could definitely be party to that. As an example, from the VAPAR side, we're developing the technology to take what we've got on the platform that's post-processed. So the video is captured and then it's uploaded to our system, where we've got a hardware call it partnership to actually on the camera process the footage. So it's like a heads-up display of what you're seeing. It won't take anyone's job. It's what it's there to do is assist with the actual inspection. And so, if someone's going too fast or missed a defect, or they've missed a tap, and they haven't panned, if that's what the city requires, that kind of heads-up display technology, that real-time stuff, that we're hoping that they can say, okay, before I pull this camera out of the pipe and return the manhole cover and pack up my traffic management, I know that I'm going to get paid for this video, and the city knows that that they've got good data, and so bringing that real-time value to the point of capture is something that we're almost ready to release, which is really cool. We've been working on it for a while. It's very challenging, but that stuff like that, we're not going to solve it by ourselves. We need, if you've identified the defect, that's not to say that you've got the felt for the liner wetted out correctly at the right time. So I mean, that there's going to be restrictions that way, but certainly smaller things like, I just need to jet this line, I've got a hose. Stuff like that. Certainly real-time turnaround, and the same day fixes is what we're keen on.
What? Okay, so there's in your space, for condition assessment of sewers, there's different competitors, things like that that are in this space. But from what you just said, it sounds like being able to, the different perspectives of different people looking at the defect makes a difference in what they may have missed or what they've not have missed. And my experience with using a camera company, a separate company we hired to go out and video a sewer pipe, they missed a lot. Like they missed laterals, they were flying down the pipe, they weren't doing a really good job. How are you able to, I guess, QA QC that on like your system? Like how do you know?
So it's a great question. What we do is when the video comes up to our system, the AI quote unquote watches the video, and we say to people, once the results will come back in a couple of minutes. Like it's a sub 10-minute process per video, and you can upload like hundreds of videos at the same time, and they'll all parallel process. So it's not like 10 plus 10 plus. It'll be like you get them back. But then what is part of our process is saying to people like, okay, the AI's watched the video. It's been trained on 7 million defects, but it's not 100% right. It's not a set and forget. That is not the way that that's not our product philosophy. Is to be like, cool, let the AI run and you don't have to worry about it. Our strategy and what we advocate is, if you have people in the office just watching CCTV, instead of watching 300 feet an hour, they could actually do double that with our system, and their productivity increases. But you still need really that talent. It doesn't eliminate that talent for sure. That is not our philosophy. But to answer your question, we show all of that, the AI results, what the AI said it thinks is a defect and thinks it's not a defect. That's a fundamental part of our platform, is that you can see what the AI is thinking, and you can change it if you want to. If you feel like that was wrong, or that's the wrong characterization of that crack, you can go in and change it, and you have the full power to do that.
Yeah. What happens when, I guess, if you decide to change it, like the score or whatever might be the rating, does that change the way the AI works? Like, how does that, I'm not sure exactly what I'm trying to get at here.
No, I totally but, what's the learning capability?
Well, I'm just thinking to myself, like, okay, if I'm a public works director and I want to understand more about my collection system, right? But I don't want to know what is potentially going to be a collapse or something I have to repair, and using your system is going to tell me that obviously very quickly. I guess, how do we know what the repair is going to, like, for me as a concern would be, I don't want to fix it if you're going to find it, right?
Yeah, right.
I've heard this before where it's like you're finding the problems that I don't have the money to fix. Like, how are we going to resolve that?
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
is your AI
Good.
correct or not? Like, is it legit? There's could be
Yeah.
these like thoughts that go on, and I'm
Yeah,
just
for
curious
sure.
what you think about that.
No, sorry, yeah. Okay, sorry, yes. Totally. And it's not like people might hear that and be like, why would that even be a thought process? But totally, the whole point of the point of coding is to accurately identify what's going on in the pipe. We do that using AI, and you can do that exception handling that I just mentioned.
Yeah.
But there's a next step after that we differentiate in the market on, which is actually because I and a lot of our team, we come from the asset management background, and we understand that you're not coding because you love coding. You're actually putting that camera in the pipe. You're spending so much money to put that camera in the pipe to find out, how long can I leave this pipe until I really, 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 really have to do something about it, until I'm really until my risk is intolerable. And so I fully agree. Like, if it's not broken, don't fix it. And so what we can do is, work with cities and say, to touch on your previous point about like different sewer networks, we can say, look, these are your defects. And if you have this is what the standard says. And then if you have a different view of how you want to treat things and how you want to get your repair recommendations out, because we do repair recommendations as well. If you have a different view and a risk tolerance, for sure, we can account for that, and you will get your recommendations closer aligned to what your risk assessment is, rather than just like, it's not we recognize it's not a cookie cutter. Everybody has different budgets.
Right. Yeah. Good answer to that long question I had. But yeah, it's one of those things where, a lot of cities, they just sometimes don't want to know so that they don't have to try and find the money to fix it. Right. I had that issue with acoustic inspection where we'd find blockages of a collapsed sewer, and the cities were like, wait, I don't want to find all these problems because I got to fix them. Right. So it cost them money if they didn't have the budget to do that. So, well, it sounds like you guys are doing amazing things at VAPAR. We're running out of time, Amanda, and I wish we had more time to talk because I got more questions, but we'll have to do another episode at some point in time later this year and figure things out. But
1 year anniversary.
1 year anniversary. So what is the what's going on with VAPAR as far as the future holds? What's your vision like, and then how do people get a hold of you?
So what's going on at VAPAR? What isn't? No, but for us, look, we've got a team in Australia and the UK, work over in New Zealand. We've now got some clients here. We're starting to learn more about what it means to be in the North American market. Like I said, there's lots of differences in this market. And so we're really focused on spending our time to learn as much as possible, because we're not about bringing solutions to problems that no one has. So it's about just really learning and listening to what and if we can help. So we're really encouraged by the kind of pilot customers that we have. Very, very strong similarities in our solution. So yeah, watch this space. We're very excited to be working with people here.
Yeah, it's amazing what you guys are doing. We need it here in the United States. Infrastructure is crumbling quickly. Sewer is no exception to the rule, so to speak. It's falling apart just like water systems are. And we need technology like yours to bring awareness to what's actually happening and what needs fixed, rather than mismanagement of funds, putting it towards something that didn't need repaired, stuff like that. So kudos to VAPAR and the VAPAR team for, bringing this technology to life, I guess I should say, or life. It's really cool to hear. So how can people get a hold of you, Amanda, or your company?
Yeah, totally. So www. Do people say that anymore with internet? I know. So I'm clearly from the 90s. VAPAR.co is our website.
Nice.
And we're on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. Definitely get in touch with me. Very excited to talk everything sewers.
Awesome. Thank you, Amanda, for joining me. It's been great.
Thanks, Chad. Really
Have a good day.
Thank you for listening to the Infrastructure Hot Seat podcast. We hope that this show brought you some insight on relevant topics within the infrastructure world. Please join us every